All right, we're live. We're here. We're packed with information. It's Michael Knight in New York.
We're up and
Vinnie,
at 'em.
Vinnie, take on the world this Wednesday morning. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, New York, Vinnie.
Mikey down
And
there.
good morning to all our viewers, listeners,
And the three or four people that get it telepathically that listen to us in Marin County.
they just get it. They get it
point
through
toward
their skull receives it.
Yeah, they just
forwards
get
it
it
to
right in Mount Tam. They point themselves toward Mount Tam and they look at it and
Yep.
it comes to them. It doesn't matter how it comes to them. It comes to them, and that's what we don't question how you get it. We just question that you get it.
We do not question. And
We try not to question.
There's no point in explaining how the mountain receives it and distributes it to the listeners. It's too complicated. You'll never get it. And
well, I'm not going to say people will never get it, but I will say that it's complicated. Yeah, it's not.
I wonder.
It's not just a simple turn it on and listen. It's a process. You have to have the receiver inside of you to get it.
I wonder what Marin does now that it no longer has a radio station. It had an AM and an FM operation at KTIM, and that's no longer on the air. And it seems a pity that Marin doesn't have its own radio station.
Well, it's kind of, well, again, I'm sure that half the people in Marin probably don't even know what a radio is anymore. You know, they listen to podcasts and they listen to, I mean, you know, the reality is, Michael, is that radio is I mean, it's been dying a slow death for a long time, and none of the people that run radio stations have been smart enough to be able to stop it. So, you know, people move on. People go to different things. People go to podcasts. People go to streaming. People go to, you know, it's as easy to get our show now as just pointing at a QR code and clicking.
Funny thing about the alternative to a conventional radio format being a podcast is, well, what's the difference? Well, a radio station you listen to and you turn it up when you want to hear the music and you turn it down when you don't want to hear the commercial. You are most likely by yourself and you listen to something and you receive information, opinion, something. And what's the difference? What's being replaced? What is radio being replaced by? Well, the podcast is much the same thing, except you get to choose the topic. But your use of time is the same. You still have to pay attention. You have to listen. You have to give it your attention. You have to participate by doing your part, listening. And that, you would think, would bode well for the future of radio. They would provide something for you to listen to. They don't. They provide something that you can't listen to, that you can't give your attention to, that you can't focus on. And it's just a damn shame.
Well, you know, the podcast, see the different, and I perceive a podcast to be different. I mean, I think podcasts are, in many shape, manner, or form, long form stories that people tell in you know, or interviews. I mean, it's not, you know, radio is this kind of set up on this, you know, 10-minute segments or 8-minute segments, and you go and you fit 2 songs in, or you talk, or you where radio misses the mark, I think, is the fact that talk radio, the voice of the people, is no longer the voice of the people. The voice of the people is now either some person bloviating or about what they, you know, what they believe and what they think should be done and what they think should, or it's and it's not a, and then it's people or it's somebody sitting there reading Twitter or reading social media, and they think that that's a winning combination. The beauty to me of talk radio was always that it was a conversation between two people that you got to listen into, and if you wanted to, pick up the phone and participate. And in that, you got different characters, different personalities. Hopefully, the person that was hosting the show was a personality, knew what to do with the personalities that were calling in. There's hardly any of that anymore. I mean, even in sports talk, um, you don't get, if you listen to sports radio, you hear two guys talking to each other who say that basically the same stuff every day. They're ribald cheerleaders if the team is doing well or if they're in the playoffs. And if they're not in the playoffs, or they're 2 games back or 10 games back, or they lose a game last night, they want to fire the manager, fire the coach, fire the general manager, fire this guy, fire that guy. And from people that mostly, I don't know, I don't even think know enough to be a fan.
And of course, the boss of the guy on the radio wants to fire him.
Right. So I think it's
So what's better for sports radio? Is it a losing team that you can rag on every day, or is it a winning team that surpasses expectations and takes you to the World Series?
Well, I actually think that a team like the Mariners is the perfect team for sports radio, because sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. They make enough mistakes.
It's hard to call what it's going to be.
Yeah. You have something to converse about every day. If you're a Yankees, let's say you're a Braves sports talk host now, what do you talk about? Some of the toughest times of doing sports radio, I thought, was during the 116-win season, because there was nothing to criticize, not much to criticize. I mean, it's hard to criticize the team when you basically became a cheerleader. You basically became so, and that was in the end what became the beauty of it was the fact that you cheered the team on. You became a barometer. You became a vessel for the fans. You had to know when to sit back and just let the fans enjoy it, enjoy the enjoyment.
After you're winning 10 in a row, you do a special show called "What's Wrong with This Team?"
Well, believe me, there were people on sports radio, I won't mention any names, but with 116 wins, and they still found a lot of things, at the trading deadline. They didn't add this, they didn't do that, they didn't do this. And some of it actually turned out to be true, because they didn't make a couple of moves that they could have made or should have made. So, but it's not cut and dry. And it's the same thing with politics, I think. If you have a city that's running fairly well and a presidency that's doing fairly good, well, you don't have a lot. But so they had to come up with something, and so they came up with Hot Talk. And they touched on something where people felt disaffected. People felt that they weren't getting this shit. People felt that, mainly white men felt that they were getting screwed. That, other, the immigrants or these people or that people were getting this and that and the other thing, and they weren't getting anything.
Well, the renewed energy in hate talk radio is, no matter what is happening in the political universe, you hate the work and the results and the efforts of the other guys. you are the Republican, so you hate the Democrats. And it was pretty easy to hate some of Barack Obama, Joe Biden. They got a lot of hate. And it was renewed every day with the talking points from Hate Talk Radio, where it's as if Steve Bannon sent a memo to the format captains and said, here's what you talk about today. Here's how you talk about it. Here's the angle you take. Here's the results you want. Here's what you don't like. Here's what you do like. Here's who you don't like. And here's who you promote as the solution to these problems. And that's not effortless, but nearly effortless, because you can do that every day forever. And
Right.
the sad part of it is that the audience buys it. I can't explain why it's satisfying to hear Hate Talk Radio every day, but you've got to hear it. You've got to get your poison and your attitude and your talking points correct. Then you can proceed during the day, and you can stop off with your friends. If they haven't heard their Hate Talk today, you can fill them in on what Hate Talk is working on. And it's a ghastly form of social poisoning.
Well, I'm sure that the talking people at WABC in New York and the other hate talk stations in the New
They're on
York
the
area
socialists.
are up in arms this morning. I'm sure that they're leading an exodus from New York City. That everybody, Staten Island is ready to put a wall on the Verrazano Bridge, not let anybody over it. I'm sure that Mandami, the mayor of New York, who scored an incredible victory last night, unseating incumbents.
Dan Goldman,
And
I was surprised by that.
well, listen, people are upset. Except now, it's the other people are upset. The people who think that that people have gotten that the elites, the people with money, have gotten too much, or too much in control, or too much have gotten the tax breaks, have gotten this, have gotten that, and the average working person has gotten screwed. When you go to the store and you can't get out of Safeway for less than $40, it seems, if you buy a pound of grapes and a pound of cherries and a couple of quarts of milk, you're into it for $30.
$65.
There's something wrong with that. When you see the price of oil now going down, yet the price at your local gas station is staying the same, even going higher, you know you're getting screwed.
It went up every day. It can't come down every day. That would be fair. We're not being fair. We're being arbitrary.
The oil company.
And the price of oil is up. Why should we bring it down? It took a miracle for it to go up. Now it's up.
Just to make it interesting, you have a president who Congress finally gets off their ass and does something about housing prices, does something about the whole housing situation, housing crisis in this country, something to help people, does something that I've been talking about for a long time, which is preventing investments in single-family homes, so that you don't have these venture capitalists going out and buying up every house on the market, forcing the price up and making houses unavailable for anybody who wants to get into a starter home. And the president decides that he's going to hold the bill hostage because he wants an act or a legislation passed, this I don't know, America Save America bill, or whatever he's calling it, that for all intents and purposes, looks unconstitutional. Looks like it'll get thrown out of court, but maybe not, because you don't know what the court's going to do.
Trump has reached the station in his career where everything he turns his hand to turns to mud. He has a unfailing, unassailable point of view that's totally wrong now. Everything he's doing is wrong. All his inclinations are wrong. His appointments turn out to be the wrong guy. The results from all his machinations are turning into mud.
I don't know. Trump-backed candidates are winning primaries.
Not overall.
Yeah, yeah. Go look at the results. You have in all of these different states.
South Carolina.
You have and in Ohio and in I don't know, there's 4 or 5 different states over the past few weeks. The Trump-backed candidates have won
Utah,
the Republican nominations.
Last night.
Now, whether that'll transfer into a sweeping win for him in the midterms, we've yet to see. But I wouldn't start discounting Trump right away. And
if you have an approval rating of 30%. You can't ask for much.
Yeah, well, the polls also said he would never get elected president the first time. So
those polls are no longer in effect. That's old news. 30% is his approval rating, and that's a death knell for a politician. And he can endorse who he wants, but it's not going to translate into blind.
If those candidates wind up winning, it will, because they'll be beholden to him. So if those candidates wind up winning and beating out their Democratic opponents in November, then you're going to have a whole new set of Republicans that are beholden to Trump. And, and again, I contend that people have short memories. And if the price of gas goes down, what's going to happen? People are going to say, oh, yeah, well, look, Trump lowered the price of gasoline. Nobody remembers the fact that that we lost 13 lives in Iran, or we did this. Because people hate Iran. He doesn't even have. Nobody's going to remember the fact that there was a deal in place that was better than the deal that he got, if he even has a deal. So I'm not ready to go.
You're not ready to let go of your fear of Trump transforming his current campaign and pulling out a victory.
Well, yeah, I'm not ready to just sit back as people were a month ago saying, "Oh, it's going to be a Democratic wave."
Well, I don't think you can.
Let's take the summer off and go to the beach.
If New York proved anything, it's that you can't sit back. That the factions, even on the winning side, are difficult to predict, and the bad mouthing of the so-called democratic socialists in New York did not translate into support for the Republicans. It translated into a victory for the most vociferous, most what's the word I'm looking for? The most they were overcome by the Democrats' willingness to vote for the most left-wing of the candidates, in spite of all the warnings, in spite of all the predictions.
Yeah, I think that you have a couple of things at work in New York. Number one, people are just fed up with the prices, with the struggle of living in New York. It's not easy to live there right now. It's not easy to afford to live there. Everything is going up. Every time you turn around, something's more than it was yesterday. And people are looking for something different. Young people, especially.
Can't that be said about Los Angeles and Chicago as well?
Yeah, probably so.
And even Seattle.
Well, Seattle's interesting. I would have think that this city would have cleared out because of the price of living here, because it's so ridiculously expensive to live here. But yet it hasn't.
People are trading the costs versus the quality of life.
And I don't think the quality of life is as good here as people think it is. I mean, I don't know if you're willing to pay 25% more because you can drive up to the mountains or go look at some water or things like that. Well, yeah, then it's worth it, I guess. But the cost of living here is ridiculous. You pay more for a dentist. You pay more for a doctor. You pay more for the necessities of life here than you do anywhere else. Higher than San Francisco, higher than California, higher than New York. This is the most expensive place in the country to live. And what you get back for it, at some point, you have to think, well, is it worth it? Now, if you're working in tech and you're making $500,000 a year, yeah, I guess it's worth it. But if you're struggling and you're working, you're not a techie, you're not working for Amazon, you're not sharing in all of that, maybe it's not worth it. It's tough to live here.
So has the population of Washington State gone up or down?
I believe it's still on the rise, but slightly, not as much as it has been in the past. I don't have the latest figures of whether it's increased or decreased. I believe it has gone up slightly. I'd actually want to look for numbers of what Seattle itself is done. I know that people are getting out of Seattle because of the fear of taxes, that they're not only going to tax rich people, but people that aren't that rich, which will be a killer for the city. And also, listen, it's a city that's everywhere you look, there's graffiti all over the place. It looks like New York in the 70s. The mayor clearly does not seem to know what she's doing. And not that she's that powerful, to be honest with you. The city council is much more powerful. But people are sick of the crime. People are sick of stepping over homeless people. People are sick of people shitting in the street. Where you're stopped at a stoplight with your family, because you're going to the park downtown or something, and there's somebody dropping their drawers and taking a deuce on the corner. People are sick of that.
That sounds like San Francisco a couple of years ago.
And they want to see something different. They want to see laws enforced. They want to see a park that they pay tax money for cleared of homeless people. We've dumped billions and billions of dollars into homeless people, and the problem is worse now than ever. And nobody can seem to get a handle on it. Nobody can seem to figure out what to do. And the same thing, I think, is happening in New York
as well. Yeah. Well, it's an LA problem.
People are sick of it. People want to live here people will pay the extra money to live here, but you don't want all the crap that's going on here. Now, I happen to live in a place that's God's little acre. The cops here are good. The town runs pretty well. It's not in the city of Seattle. It's not even in King County. It's just outside of King County. But this little town runs nice, but it's expensive to live here. And if you're on a fixed income, it's even worse. And there's people here that are trying to make ends meet, and it's tough. It's really tough. And I think that that's what's happening in New York is that people, younger
I think that's
people,
happening
like,
coast to coast.
yeah, I think it is happening coast to coast. But I think that what you saw in the primary yesterday is a mayor that's promised people that there's a different way to do things. That there is that this whole idea of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, and there's nothing we can do about it, so we may as well just resign ourselves to it, is not the way it's going to be. Is that we have to come up with a system where people aren't going to be able to be bought off, or where you can mitigate it, where you can get some people in there that want to make things better, not make themselves better. Now, I don't know what, if these people are genuine or not. People say anything to get elected. But for the moment, it seems that Mamdani has hit on something. He's touched a vein among people. But he's also scared a lot of other people.
He scared those who weren't hurting. He scares those who have their own, are
Well, I
settled,
think he also scares
happy the way
people
things are.
who hear the word socialist and run. You heard Trump this morning saying, "Well, this country's not going to go communist." Well, nobody's saying go communist.
Just the opposition to the socialists. They're the ones who tout the communists. They're the ones who use the phrase. They're the ones who instill fear. That's Trump's ticket to survival anyway, instilling fear.
This week, yeah. This week is just linking up the socialists with the communists. And I don't know. Listen, I think something's got to happen to give average people a break. And the
First of
biggest
all,
example that's happening right now is that. I'm sorry, say again.
The Republicans in power have to be sent home. They have to have their jobs taken from them. They have to have the power that they hold removed from them by the vote. And it has to happen before any change is going to come.
Right.
You can't expect the Republicans to give up. They won't. They're going to lie their way and cheat their way and struggle their way to hold on to whatever power they have. They'll say anything. They'll do anything. They will indict anyone. They will bring charges against those who are innocent. They will hold people without a lawyer. They will build prisons to sanctify their own ideas about racial purity and the future of America and who gets to live here. They will do what we've seen in the past, and that is destroy the rule of law. And they will do it happily, and they will do it with Trump driving the bandwagon. But they're all hopping on, hoping not to miss out on the next big trend. And the reason that they have to be stopped is because there'll be no progress and no cure until they are.
Well, who's going to stop them?
The vote. Every time.
Well, yeah, and again, I do not have faith right now that people are going to remember the vote in November.
That doesn't track with what the country is doing, Vinnie, at this point. Well, the nation that was famous for not taking part in midterms is making every election a big deal.
Well,
you saw that last night in New York, where the future of the Democratic Party in big cities was laid out in stark relief last night. What the people of New York, who are nobody's fools, decided that they were going to go with their heart on this one and not be afraid of the socialist label, rather ensuring that they have an opportunity to turn this around so that the Manhattanite, the family in Queens, family in Bronx, and the families on Staten Island can all share in the turnaround. And if it can't work, if that type of reform can't work in New York, it won't work anywhere, because they've tried everything else there, and they are under no illusion about how local government works and where the corporate pricing and real estate inflation has made the life that they're suffering under less livable. There are solutions. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen with a Republican in office.
Well, I'm trying to get the numbers on voter turnout. From what I understand, it was one of the lowest turnouts of voters in recent history in New York. So, New York Times is calling it a low turnout primary. And what I think is happening is that there are people who are emboldened by Mondani and the old guard, which was the new guard, Hochul and Hakeem Jeffries and all of those people are getting kicked to the curb. And there's an even younger generation that are showing up. They're showing up to vote.
And their frustration and their disappointment with the old guard, whether it be Republican or Democrat, is understandable. You can understand how their frustration is. Why? How many times have you watched the nightly news and just say, isn't there any way to stop these sons of bitches? Isn't there anybody who can put up a roadblock and stop them from doing the terrible things that they've done to our Constitution, to our courts, to our electoral system, to our expectations, to our ability to make war, to our ability to manage war, to the Pentagon? Isn't there anybody in charge of anything to stop these fucks from doing what they're doing to the country? And if Hakeem Jeffries can't answer that question, then out you go.
I am not a big fan of Hakeem Jeffries. I'm just not. I just
what about
don't.
Chuck Schumer?
Not really. No, I don't. I don't think they're dynamic leaders.
He's a disappointment.
Hakeem Jeffries just seems to. I don't know. He's just. He seems to be a run of the mill politician. Lower early voting. Let's see. Party turnout. Substantially lower so far, according to the Post. So
what did your old neighborhood do? Who did they vote for?
I got no idea. I didn't look in my old. Well, actually, I do know. My old neighborhood is the incumbent won 87% of the vote, but she's Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, so she's not going anywhere.
She had to stake out a position and defend it the whole time she's been in office. That has not been easy.
Yeah, they're smart enough not to get rid of somebody who holds as powerful a position in politics as she does. Contrary to the people in Spokane several years ago who got rid of Tom Foley, thinking that the next person that they elected would also become the Speaker of the House. Yeah.
It's Spokane for you.
That's what you're dealing with. So I just think that we're living in a world where we I don't know where we can't count on anything at the moment, and we don't know now. Maybe this is this is going to all turn out right, and people are going to be pissed off, and they're not when the time comes around. But uh, they will vote against Republican candidates. But I wouldn't I wouldn't just put it in the drawer and say it's all okay. I wouldn't take the summer off.
No, that's not what anyone is suggesting. In fact, now's the time to make your case to the people who might vote for the opposite party because they have had enough of no fertilizer for their farms, no gas for their tractors, no money to send their kids to school, no medical coverage to help them in times of illness, no help from the government whatsoever, just trouble everywhere you look. Trouble and increased costs. And that environment is not a good one to be running in if you're a Republican.
No, it's not. But it's sad because you want it to stay bad in some ways because you don't want you want there to be change. Because you know that if these guys get elected again, it's going to be
hell to pay.
The worst 2 years of Trump because he's going to feel emboldened and empowered to do things. And the fact that this morning that a bipartisan bill is passed that can help people, and this son of a bitch says,
no way.
I'm not going to sign it unless I get what I want.
And what I want is for this bill not to be alive. I want another bill in its place, and I want that first, and then maybe we'll talk about your bill.
Is stunning.
And a lot of people think that he did it, Vinnie, because he was angry at the fact that they cut his war powers coverage for the first time yesterday because he mismanaged this war so magnificently. He's such a cluster duck.
He's such a little priss. You know, he is such a little priss.
Always taking revenge.
He can't take being wrong. He can't take learning from his mistakes. He can't take it.
And imagine a president of any nation who resents experts in any field. Imagine taking that point of view to Lou Piniella. You know, you're the manager of this team, but I play on this team, and I'm telling you, I hate experts. I don't want a manager to know what the pitching staff is doing. I don't want your decision about who's going to play shortstop based on batting average and an on-base average. I hate guys who are experts, and we're going to do it my way. We're going to play without a ball, and we're going to play without mitts. Mitts make you weak.
Some teams it wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe
get them in
play better if they didn't have mitts.
Get them in intimate contact with the ball.
Yeah, it's not pretty at the moment, Michael. I do see hope in this election yesterday in his primary. I think Mandami, whether you like his politics or not, he's a leader. He's demonstrated himself to be a leader who can listen to the other side.
That's something that you got to do in New York.
And it's so rare in politics to see today.
Yeah.
He gets that the people in New York The average working people in New York, the people that ride the subways, the people that have the broken down cars that are held together with duct tape, need some help. They need something to happen to help them out a little bit.
And you can't achieve that in a city like New York without changing some things that are rather basic to the operation of the city. And that's the hard part.
You have to tax some of the rich people and tax them more. They can't keep getting away with a free ride. You know, it's like this thing with Bezos and Howard Schultz leaving Seattle. They made their money here. And now they turn around and say, well, we're going to have to pay a little bit more. We're going to have to pay our fair share.
Why should we?
Why should we? We could just pick up and leave. And I just find it to be, you made your money here. Shouldn't you have, say what you want about Bill Gates. He made his money here and he's contributed here. He's done his part to make this place a better place. Paul Allen has done his part, or did his part when he was here alive, to make this place a better place. Now Bezos has done some stuff, and Schultz has kind of screwed the pooch here. He's done nothing. What has he done? He's moving his corporate headquarters out of town.
What state did he choose? Texas?
No, I forget. I think he might be moving some of it to Tennessee, which seems to be the place right now. So, I don't know, Michael. It's there's no easy solution. I'm happy that Mandami's. I don't know why I always have trouble with his name. Mamdani's people won. I don't think they're going to turn New York City into a Vladivostok or a communist territory. I think what they might do is finally be able to get some people to pay their fair share of what's going on. And
Donald Trump still struggles with trying to get the water clean and the reflecting pool.
Well, that's what he's focused on. And
that's why it's such a mess. He's focused
on making sure that his friends get contracts, making sure that his people get taken care of, and then try to say to people, well, this was a competitive bid. It was a fair thing. The guy had nothing. The guy was one of his top contributors and was his next door neighbor in Mar-a-Lago.
He's a pool guy who can't get the pool clean.
And so now the story is this morning that Trump is saying that it's sabotage. That somebody went in there and cut the pool up, cut the liner up. You know what they lined the pool with, Michael?
Blue paint.
They lined it with rhino liner. The stuff that the dealer, when you go in to buy a pickup truck and it doesn't come with a liner from the factory in the bed of the truck, that's what they sell you for a couple of $1,000. Rhino liner. That's what they lined the pool with. Rhino liner.
And the water and the temperature and the algae all made it float.
It's not meant to
be.
It
didn't stick.
It's not meant
underwater.
to be in water all the time.
No.
They didn't even go and use the right stuff.
These are the type of people who are attracted to Donald Trump. He is their saint.
Well, and
their spokesman, their representative, their the man that stands for all that they look forward to in life. Trump represents that for them. And the fact that he can't even get the tool right is an example of the level of incompetence that he possesses solely, remarkably. It's a wonder. It's a wonder on this planet that someone can be that incompetent.
Yeah, he can't get the pool right. He can't get the White House thing right. He can't get anything right. Can't get the Iran war right.
Can't even begin to.
Just can't get it. He can't get it right.
But he can take the director of national intelligence, the one office that has 18 different groups of intelligence gathering experts on this planet, and screw it up, and then one day fire the important people. And it's a situation where if you were Iran right now and you wanted to paint a picture that the United States would never forget, an attack would be rather easy to pull off because we have nobody to stop it.
Well, I don't know that an attack would be easy to pull off, but he certainly, you took a guy who is a matter of fact, I just passed a sign day before yesterday off of I-5. It said, stop by and see, buy a Pulte home. Because that's what the guy does. He builds houses. Ironic that this guy should be the newest addition to the cabinet when the housing bill has been scuttled. That's who this guy is. He's a housing financier. He knows nothing about intelligence. Nothing.
And he's a puppet stooge.
He'll just go in there and do what Trump wants him to do. Continue to get his revenge on the intelligence community.
By destroying it.
This is the same guy, Trump, that stood in the lobby of the CIA and virtually pissed on the name of people who had given their lives up in the defense of this country.
Suckers.
So, but you know what? People are getting what they asked for. Those independent suburban voters, those people who thought that Trump would do a better job than Kamala Harris, are getting what they asked for.
Yippee-ki-yay.
And I hope they're loving what they're getting. Something tells me they're not. Something tells me there's more than one or two of them that have said, "What in the world did we do?" So anyway, I am actually going to cut things a little short this morning because I got a doctor's appointment that I got to go hit. That's my other bane of my existence these days is going to doctors.
Hope you got a good one.
I don't know. I think the good ones are, well, yeah, I do have a good one, actually. I shouldn't say that. I do have a good, one thing I got, knock on wood, is a good bunch of medical people.
But tell him you need him to use all his powers to come up with a proper diagnosis.
Well, they haven't come up with one yet, Michael. So maybe we'll get maybe today will be the day. There comes some days where you just sit and wonder and say, when are they going to be able to figure it out? Or when am I going to be able to feel better? Anyway, all right. Well, what do you say we get together and do this again Friday?
It'll be a fractious Friday.
Be a fractious Friday. Maybe we'll have some. Maybe cooler heads will prevail. In the
cooler heads don't even get consulted very rarely these days.
Yeah, maybe we'll just turn this into a comedy show.
Tragedy is easy. Comedy is hard.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, I'll catch up with you on Friday.
Friday it is, man. Feel better.
All right, Mikey.
Say
You
hello to
take
your
care of
doctor.
yourself. Thank you all for listening too. We'll see you on Friday.
So be it.
Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
A lot of wine.
See you, Michael.
See you, Ben.